Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. You are looking at a 1984 Yamaha Moto4 200. This is one of the first quads that Yamaha ever produced back in the day, and even though it doesn't have any suspension front and back, it's actually relatively sophisticated. It's got 200 cc's 5-speed. It's got reverse shaft drive, so not bad for a first try on Yamaha's part, that's for sure. Anyway, we want to make sure this thing has OCD, and what is that? The first part of it is O for oil. If you don't have oil, stop where you are. Not only does it have oil, it looks pretty good. For the C part, kind of has compression, not a lot, but hopefully enough. And D stands for detonation. I would have gone with ignition, but it doesn't sound as cool. So, in the land of detonation, I have no key. I gave my buddy a few days. He didn't get back to me and say, oh yeah, I found the key, so it's time to start cutting wires, and we'll do that in a second. In the meantime, let's pop the rack and the seat and so forth. It's handy to kind of be able to see what you're up to. Right. I think. Yep, good. Thought I knew where the seat was. They never bolted this down again. Very bad. And what do we have here? Looks like somebody put a new battery in it. I wonder if it's any good. Looks like they might have even bolted it down. Miracles. Really, this thing really looks pretty clean. It still has the markings on that. No, well, spare fuse is still there. Cool. Gas tank bolted. I don't know if you guys recall, we kind of gave the gas a little bit of a sniff last time, and it actually smelled pretty good. Boy, this motor looks clean. Maybe it's going to be an easy one. Let's, I should never say that, by the way. The second you say that, you know you're in a whole heap of trouble, right? So, anyway, I don't have the key. I'm about to throw $20 away on an ignition switch, because you know I'm going to cut the wires, and my buddy's going to call tonight and say, oh, I found the key. So anyway, let's get cutting, that way he can find the key. So I cut the wires as close to the switch as possible. That way I have some extra length at the all-terrain vehicle. It'll just make it easier to hook up the next switch. After doing that, I took a look in the back of the switch. Now remember, as you turn the switch, you have a little block that shorts and unshorts things together, and you see that red and brown, those two are shorted together when you turn the ignition on, and the other two, the black and the black with the white stripe, those are the two you short together when the all-terrain vehicle is turned off. So you open this when it's on, you short that when it's on, you open this when it's off, and you short those two when it's off. So that's how it all works. And if you poke around with your meter for a couple of seconds, you'll find out the black wire here, pure black, goes to ground. The red wire actually goes to the 12 volts, right? So those are two wires you definitely don't want to put together. Now that we figured out how to hot wire this thing, right? If you put these two wires together, and I know I have 12 volts here because I checked. If you put these two wires together, unfortunately, you do not get dashboard lights. You do not get a headlight, and the tail light's broken. So I mean, that means we have power here, but just in case, I checked the fuse. The fuse is indeed intact, and once again, you get 12 volts through it and all that. We get 12 volts up to here, and that's where everything seems to stop. So I know I have work to do on the 12 volt ignition system, but I could get around that. So even though the battery looks relatively new, it is stone cold dead. Excuse the mosquitoes biting the heck out of me. And it looks like they put some nice cables on it. All that looks great, but battery is dead. Let's I had the jump pack on it when I did the troubleshooting I mentioned. Let's put the jump pack on it. We'll bypass the starting solenoid right there. We'll turn it over and we'll see if we have spark. So here we are, round and round we go. And try it again. And we got no spark. So this bike is getting more interesting. I have no 12 volts, so I got no lights, no crank, no spark. I got nothing here. Luckily, there's a way around that also. If you check out the wires that come out from behind the stator, right recoil starter side, flywheel stator, you end up with these wires. And you got 4 on a block, and you got these 2 on a block. Well, the yellow, red, and the white guy, if you go looking over here to the voltage regulator, you see them go there. So that's how you charge the battery for the 12 volt system. Now what you also have here, the white and green, red and green, and if you probe between those, you get almost 200 ohms. 179 to be exact, but call it 200 ohms just for a laugh. And then you check between all the others, and they're not hooked up, they're just hooked up to each other. That tells you that's the pulse generator. You check the other 2, the black and the red wire, they're only hooked up to each other, and you get 0.4 ohms. That tells you that's the stator, which powers the CDI unit right here. So you power the CDI unit with the AC from these 2, and this is where you get your pulse from. The one with the green stripe I use as the ground. I'm going to put my CDI unit, my hand grenade CDI unit on there. This is 12 volts. It gets the 12 volts from the battery pack. And then all I need is the pulse generator, which is these 2. Black is ground, blue is pulse generator. You can see I hooked up the ground here. So I just have to put 12 volts on this and hook up these 2 wires, and life is good. So once again, black I'm going to put with the white and green. That's the one side, and the hot side of the pulse generator, I'm going to put it here. Then we're going to see if we have spark, right? You got to kind of put these together a little bit at a time, right? To get the detonation part, you definitely need spark. So this is the portable CDI box, and hopefully you guys could see spark. Kind of scary poking around back there, bypassing that starter, right? Got all kinds of arc welding going on. So let's give it a little hoot of starting fluid and hope for the best. Yeah, this is only a little bit sketchy. I don't know if you guys can see that. It seems to be blowing out the carburetor. I'm gonna turn it over. I can't do it with the camera. I don't have 3 hands, but I'm gonna see if what it feels like, if it's pushing back. As I put my hands over the carb, cover it up, it feels like it kind of pulls and pushes, right? Which to me, that indicates I have a valve problem or my valves are too tight. So I'm gonna go get some Allen keys and take those covers off and check to see if they're loose. Turning over, they're not clicking, clanking, so they're either adjusted as they should be or they're a little too tight. So let's get those off, get those covers off and see what's cooking. If you pull the cover off, you can see I have lash. In addition, hopefully I could show you, see there's a witness mark there. So somebody has adjusted these even more. You can see, yeah, there you go. You can see all this wonderful stuff. So I am releasing the valve. I think this might just be low compression. There's another couple of tricks. I really want to get this thing to at least kick and, you know, fart a little bit. I want to hear something from this. So let's keep going forward. Let's get that cover back on. So I popped some 2-cycle oil into the cylinder. Pretty good amount of it, actually. I put some, am I showing you? Yeah, gas in the carburetor. And we'll hit it with a little go-go juice. See if this helps. All right. I'm going to try to set this up so that you don't spend the whole time looking at the back of my head. Here we go. Hopefully you guys were able to see that. Here's the exhaust valve, and it too seems to be adjusted properly. So we're working our way toward a very sad song. So here's a compression test, right? The carburetor's wide open. Somewhat dry. I did squirt a certain amount of oil in there to try to start it. Well, that ain't so good, is it? Let me dump some oil in there, see what happens. Well, cue up the violins. I think we're getting ready for a very sad song. Wow, oil didn't even help it. Okay, I got the attachment on this. You know, it looked good. It's not all banged up at all. It's not welded. I mean, the engine looks good. Everything was very, very complete. When I walked up to it, the tires had air into them. Looks like the back tires got well over that. And I paid 400 bucks for this. Obviously, I overpaid. How does one get back and around? I don't know. If one completely parted it out, maybe you can see a C note for the plastics. Another 50 bucks on the tires. Rims. Recoil's worth something. I guess parts of the engine. The exhaust system is complete, including the end, the headlight, the grill work. It's not $400 worth. I just took it on this one. I mean, the shame of it is it looks good. It looks really pretty nice. What has to happen to bring this thing back to life? The engine has to come off. There's no two ways about it. I don't think you could get enough clearance to get it apart without pulling the engine. Maybe, but at the minimum, the top end of the engine has to come apart, and you got to make sure that you don't have play in the piston. I don't know if the parts are plentiful and available to this. I don't know what the engine is a derivative of. It looks like at some point it might have been a derivative of something with a hand clutch. I think that's what that extra little casting is there. Boy, this thing looks so nice. It even has brakes and all. I'm really surprised that the engine is completely spent. I've been picking up a couple of these non-winning all-terrain vehicles. This isn't the first one in a row. This Recon is also circling the drain as a loser. I think I showed you guys this, but you know, with the Recon, the jug, piston, and all that, that's a derivative of something else. And for $100, you can replace everything there. Just bolt, the head appears to be good. Just bolt a new jug, piston, or bolt that right in there, and you're good. If you're talking connecting rod and crank, you go from like 400 bucks or 100 bucks toward 500 bucks, and now you got to hope the bottom end is good. Oh, by the way, this is welded, right? But you got to hope the whole bottom end is good. Might as well replace that too. You can easily tie up $500-600 bucks, $600 bucks probably in parts by the time you get done with the gaskets and fluids. You still got to put a battery in this thing. You know, you're toward a $700 bill. Does it really pay? Right, I got $300 invested plus $7, but at least on this one I got some decent tires and racks, recoil starter. I did get a few pieces out of it. This one, I have to admit, this is a disappointment to me. I got to do some research, see what piston and rings costs. The problem is you really don't know until you pull the engine off and get it on the bench and look inside to how much trouble one is in. I mean, there is a possibility maybe I lost timing. Maybe. Cross your fingers. I don't think so. It doesn't sound like it lost timing. It sounds like the timing's good. It sounds like it's just bloody worn out. Anyway, I got to go inside and cry for a little while. I want to thank you all for dropping by. Remember, when you're playing, what road-worthy restorations or roadkill or any of those things where you're finding losers and trying to bring them back to life, sometimes you just find a loser, as in a real loser, as in it's a long way to get it back to life. In the meantime, I hope you guys all enjoyed this. And once again, this one tricked me. This one looked good. This one really looked pretty good. That one, not so much. That was to take a chance on me. But this one looked good, and it turned out to be a loser. Anyway, feet down, heads up, get out there and enjoy each and every day. I might have taken a bit of a loss on this, but hopefully you guys will watch this, learn something, and know what you're doing for your own. Would not have been all that hard to show up at somebody's house once you pull the string and you feel the compression's a little bit low, to bring a can of oil, a jump pack, and a compression gauge with you, spark plug wrench. You can easily check them out, right? You don't have to buy them pig in the poke like I did with this. Normally, folks don't want you working on them there, but if you got a pig in the poke, what are you going to do? Anyway, I need you all to put your feet down, your heads up, and I need you to get out and enjoy each and every day. Go out and buy one of these, even if it's a loser. Take care now, folks.